three. Game on the line. Williams lofting one for a deuce. He caught
it! You're listening to the world's #1 football podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Ben Hansen, Matt Hartman, and Ryan Matthews.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the Pigskin Project, episode 178. Wow, we're getting close to 200, guys. I just realized this. It's kind of crazy. I don't know, Matt. How are we feeling, man? Like the hat.
I'm doing good. Cubs survive another day, another game where they don't score after the first inning. So that's just how it's going to be. Hopefully they score 10 runs tomorrow in the first inning.
Did you see the Pete Crow Armstrong crash out when he threw his bat and he popped
Last
out
game
to center
or
field?
Today?
It was today, yeah. He was like, "Come on!" And yeah, he was saying a bunch of stuff, and people were like, "Dude, you're acting like a toddler," or "Please stop." Ben, how are we feeling? Your team's playing, right?
Yeah, no, that's the exact reason that I'm happy to be here. I don't have to suffer through watching this terrible team play baseball. I'm so glad I have something to distract me, because Lord knows I would crash out. Already did, game 2, as you guys know. So I'm just happy to be here, happy to talk about football. But how are you doing? How are you dealing with your Cubbies?
I'm happy, but I called it. I was talking to my coworker about it this morning, and I was like, "Listen, it would be the most Cubs thing possible." I think I even tweeted it out, but I was like, "It would be the most Cubs things possible to win this game and prolong the inevitable." we're gonna lose the series. I think that's very clear. This bullpen is not built to win in a playoff series. It's just not. It's not great. And then the offense it's not clicking. And when you run into a powerhouse like Milwaukee, it's really tough. I don't know what Wisconsin did to deserve all these good teams, but they got it going on. So I don't know. It sucks. But yeah, we've got a good show for you guys today. Matt, why don't you give us the rundown here, huh?
Yes. We get into the rundown. Obviously, we'll talk about some injuries, which I only had a few, to be honest with you. And then we'll get into games of the week. We'll start with Thursday Night Football, and then we'll get into each of us picked a game. Shame on you, Ben. Shame on you. And then we get into picking games and the Pigskin Payout, and then close it out with some College Corner, talking everything that happened last week in college football and everything that is upcoming in college football. So let's get right into it. Injury report. I don't know if you guys had much written. The only one I had was Marion Hampton goes to IR, and now that fills another void in the Chargers offense, specifically the run game. Now it's the running back. They've already lost Najee Harris for the season. They've already lost both their tackles for an extended period of time. Slater before the season for the season, and then Joe Alt for an ankle sprain. And now Marion Hampton's going to IR, so he is going to miss a minimum of 4 games. So again, just another, another thing along the way for this Chargers offense, and we're only at week 6. So, yeah, that's fun. But, yeah, for the most part, I don't know about injuries too much. Let me see.
We got a couple big trades. That was pretty cool.
Injuries,
I know, but that's not injury.
Landon Dickerson Landon Dickerson is gonna miss a couple weeks with lower leg injury. Shocker. This is what happens when you rush him back too quickly. But that's there's not a whole lot of injuries, which thank the Lord for that.
We already have Baltimore's entire team on IR, so
it's just the whole Could it have gone any worse for them? By the way, they might miss the playoffs. I hate to say
Still
it, but
miss the
like
playoffs.
that's crazy. It's so crazy. Like I don't know if there's a more disappointed fan base right now. They had such high expectations, and it's like nothing's going right. They just can't catch a break. It's a bummer. I don't know. Sucks.
Terry and Arnold is also okay.
Yes.
He's
there was
good.
like there was a fear that he would miss the season, but he's okay. That was what I'm just scrolling through. JJ McCarthy is still far away, apparently. Like there's a world where they come out of the bye this week and he's still not going to be back. So interested to see how that one goes. But scrolling through
CD's
injury reports,
questionable.
yeah, CD is question. I mean, I'm not going to speak too much about the Eagles because we'll talk about it here in a minute. But someone popped up on the report today, so that was interesting. What a tease,
Yeah,
Matt.
it'll be fine.
Let's get right into it. I mean, let's get into games of the week, talking everything week 6. We each pick a game, always starting with Thursday night football, and obviously Thursday night football this week. The Philadelphia Eagles travel to MetLife to take on the New York Football Giants, who my Saints dethroned a few days ago. But, yeah, I mean, you get into the Eagles and Giants. The first thing I wrote down, as I do prep for all these games, for different reasons, obviously, but which team has more pressure going into this game?
No, that's a great question. I mean, you got the Eagles fans that are like, what is going on? You shouldn't have lost the Denver game. That was an awful fourth quarter collapse. And then you have the Giants that 2 weeks ago, they're like, hallelujah, we found our quarterback. You know, Dabble's job is saved. Well, and then you go out and lose to the Saints. No offense to you, Matt, but one of the worst football teams in the
Not the
entire
worst.
NFL.
Not the
one
worst.
One of
I want
the
that
worst.
on the record.
Well, we'll talk about probably the worst football team in my pick, but that's for you to decide which team that is. But no, I do think it probably is the Eagles because there is expectation there, right? The Giants fans are going into this game saying, well, if we lose this game, you know, Daboll's getting fired and, you know, Dart isn't the quarterback. But Eagles fans are going into this game saying, well, if we can't beat the Giants, burn the boat, the season's over, which don't get in front of your bridges, but that's what some people are saying. So I think there's definitely more pressure on the Eagles, but yeah, pressure goes both ways.
Yeah, I don't want to dive too deep into it in terms of my thoughts because there's another segment down the line that I'll touch on.
Don't you do it. Sorry.
I don't know if we're on the same page, but I'm doing something stupid at least. Anyways, yeah, at first I was like, Eagles are gonna just take this and run with it. But then, like, literally it takes until getting into this very moment when I'm like, I don't know, Eagles offense, kind of not good. Like, you know what I mean? But I still think that this -7.5 spread is just, like, it's free. I don't know. That's where my head goes immediately.
Free.
Like, I think so. I mean, this is my take on it early, I guess. I mean, game's tomorrow, so I don't know how early you're talking, but like, you know, I mean, I don't know. I think that they're gonna take this and run away with it, and I'll dive into it a little bit later on.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. No. Not to steal your thunder. And I don't know what your matchup here is Matt. But really, the main thing I want to focus on is not what people would expect. Everyone's like, "Oh, Saquon. Oh, is this going to be finally his bounce back game?" And there was a whole lot of only one designed run. Don't care. That's my response to that. My response is really, how can this Eagles passing offense do against the 24th ranked passing defense that the Giants have? again, if there's going to be any game to have that get right game, it's going to be this game. And it was easy to say it was going to be the Broncos because every single, everyone and their mother wanted to talk about AJ and how mad he was. But at the end of the day, he was going up against the Broncos defense and Pat Surtain. So, of course, they were going to struggle a little bit there. They struggled probably more than what they should. But going into this game, you have no excuse to be bad at passing the football. Again, I am already too far gone to justify being happy about this passing offense. But if it really doesn't show out next week, tomorrow, then that's really when stuff is going to hit the fan for me. But what is your matchup of the week, Matt? Or the matchup of the game?
I have the Giants pass rush versus the Eagles on true dropbacks because you think back to the game against the Broncos and, the Broncos forced them to score 0 points in that second half. And what they did, they brought like Hufanga down into the box and brought him as like a fourth pass rusher. It's called a simulated pressure. It's where you're not bringing more than 4. You're not bringing a technical blitz, but you're just switching up the guys who are actually like rushing the passer. And it got Philly a few times. And like it really did startle Hurts a few times. So I'm interested to see if New York leans into that, if they are leaning into a simulated pressure look, or are they just going to lean into having Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Abdul Carter, who I looked it up today, they all have 18-plus pressures on the season already, which it makes sense, but when you think back to the Saints game, like, these guys registered 1 pressure against the Saints. So, again, like, you're thinking short week, are they going to be ready to go? They weren't able to do anything against the Saints, who, it's extremely gettable. What are they going to be able to do against Philly, who is, like you mentioned, missing Landon Dickerson, and Tyler Steen is still getting his feet under him, and we've already seen, like, Lane Johnson in and out of the lineup. So it's interesting. I think this Eagles offensive line is really gettable, especially for this Giants pass rush. So I'm interested to see how they mix stuff in to kind of, limit that stuff. Because, again, like, are we at the point where it's like Saquon's just a non-factor? Like, I'm kind of at the point where it's like, is he gonna figure it out? I'm just gonna hold back because maybe he doesn't. So it'll be interesting to see how this one ends up. But any last thoughts on Thursday Night Football before we move on?
No.
I will make a comment on Ryan's 7.5. You think the Eagles are beating anybody by 8 points right now? That's
Yes.
that's
Yes.
trust.
This is the get right game, in my opinion. This is happening.
True.
This is the one that you need.
I
It's got to
think for the
happen at some
season-
point. This team is too good not to have.
You think
one.
it's gonna come after 3 days of rest? That's my thing. If you had a full week, then maybe, but they're just coming on a short week too, man.
I'm interested to see this one. I would dabble with the under, but we move on. Let's start here.
Dabble?
Yeah, let's
Brian Dabble? I just thought
start
of that.
here.
Sorry, I know I was late.
Let me take the rock. I'm gonna go ISO ball for a minute. This came, oh my heart, oh, it stole my heart. The hashtag new agenda, hashtag snow melts in May, and what he was able to do on Sunday Night Football, and the snake. I mean, that's the quarterback battle. This is the most anticipated 2024 quarterback draft battle of the entire weekend. None of the other games come to mind, to be honest. And then you get into like what Drake May is doing. I just want to put like a lens over it real quick. The Patriots are 5th in drop back success rate. And so that's like, how much positive EPA are you drawing on a down to down basis? What is your down to down efficiency? They're 5th in entire drop back. And you think back to like, it's, Stephon Diggs has a game against Buffalo before that. He really wasn't popping. It's Kayshon Boutte. It's Hunter Henry. Like, it's just a bunch of, ragtag group of guys. And then you get into their rush success rate. So he's doing all this with, limited pass catching group. They're 31st in rushing success rate. Their EPA is even worse at 32nd because of all the fumbles against Pittsburgh. But he's doing this all with like negative run game compared to the rest of the league. So May is really taking a leap that even I am like, whoa. And it just makes me excited for more football from him. And against the Saints, who are extremely gettable. And then the other side, talking about
Really?
the Saints, hey, we're competent, dude. That's awesome. Everybody is just everybody. The best phrase I've heard is like they look like a grown-up team. Where I think a lot of people going into the season were like, this team's gonna win 2 games. They have been in every single game outside of the Seahawks game in which special teams completely derails that game within 10 minutes if you were watching it live. And the way that they're winning is winning with efficiency and scheme rather than like talent. And talent will come. If you continue to be bad, you're going to draft players and the talent will come. And the Saints through 5 games, I've totaled this up. They have 10 explosive plays. So passes of 20-plus yards and rushes of 10-plus yards. The league average for a team right now is 21. So, like, that's the realm they're living in right now. It's double what they have is the league average. And then defensively, the Saints don't get much pressure, 20% pressure rate, which is 31st, but they're middle of the pack in sack percentage, so that's interesting. And you know who the second most sacked quarterback through 5 games is? It's Drake May. So, again, that is where it is extremely gettable. But, guys, I have run ISO ball too much. What do you guys think about this one? And did I pick a good one?
Let me steal it really quick. I just want to ask a quick question. It's not necessarily about the matchup per se, but it is about your team. So Ben and I had the Saints going 3-14 before the season started. You had them going 6-11. Are you still confident in their ability to land 6-11, or do you think that it might be a little bit lower than what you were originally thinking? No judgment, just testing and seeing where your mind is with the team 5 weeks in.
I had them exactly where they are right now. I had them 1-4 with the exact games that they won, like the won and lost. So I don't think I'm switching up too much because I think the scheme is really, really good, and I think this division is extremely gettable each and every week. And like even Tampa Bay, like they're 4-1. Yes, they're still gettable. Watching them play football, they're still in a volatile spot. So I think playing in the division is kind of what teased me up to be like, yeah, I think they can win. They could still win 6 games, but at the same time, they're still so far away. They're just still so far away that if you told me they win 3 games, I wouldn't be surprised.
I will say Rattler has exceeded every expectation that I had for him. I mean, I thought for sure it would be a week in and week out quarterback battle, and the kid's he's holding his own. So I know that it's maybe not elite, you know what I mean, by any means, but like he's doing what you need him to do in the middle of a rebuild. You know what I mean? And in the face of uncertainty, when you get to the trade deadline here in the next couple weeks, you know what I mean, or a few weeks, it's going to be interesting to see how this team kind of morphs. But there is a lot of adversity that comes with that, and not to mention the scrutiny that probably comes with being the Saints quarterback right now. You know what I mean? He's handling it very well, and I mean the fact that he could not only stick or hold in with the Bills 1 week and then win a football game the next week. It's like, all right, this is kind of in. There's times that you see those flashes that you're talking about week in and week out that it's like, hey, that was good. And then the other time where it's like, that wasn't great at all. Like, you know what I mean? He's a young quarterback. It's going to happen. But regardless, like, I don't know. It's one of those things to where, I mean, we're going to get into Cleveland here in a little bit. So I want to kind of compare them to them. Like, it's one of those teams where it's like they're putting up way more of a fight than I thought that they were going to at the beginning of the season. You know what I mean? And with that, I'm pleasantly surprised just because there's a part of me that definitely roots for the Saints now because you're my friend. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I want your success just as much as you want mine, and Rattler's doing a good job.
Oh gosh. Well, I'm gonna sound like the a-hole now. I think Rattler's doing a fine job. I think it's easy to avoid quarterback controversy when the quarterback that's fighting for the job is Tyler Chuck, who, no offense, but I'm sure Matt would agree, was an absolute waste of a draft pick at this point. So it's
I'll
easy
say
Could have been
this.
worse.
Let
Could have
me
been worse. They could have traded for
I-
Flacco.
my rebuttal to that is, if you showed me if Tyler Shuck played the way that Rattler has through these 5 games, I would say okay. Like that I am pleasantly surprised with the 40th overall pick. If that makes any sense. Yeah, I get it. Like the punting on the 40th overall pick is still like, it's still going to be sour, but the way that Rattler is playing right now, I think kind of justifies the pick for the moment. And maybe like that could obviously change, but
It's
Yeah.
kind of a bad look in my eyes. It's really, really hard to get past from the outside looking in. You know what I'm saying? So,
I continue to put myself in the shoes of the moment of like, that was when they were at the complete mystery, because Derek Carr's announced shoulder injury is beginning of April. He doesn't retire till beginning of May. So the draft happens in the middle of his like diagnosis. So like they were scrambling to get a quarterback, and they took the closest player to Derek Carr, like to his skill set in Tyler
Yeah.
Shuck. Someone who can operate the offense, someone who can operate in quick game, and thought that, okay, let's put this guy in here and, plug and play. Maybe he's good to go by week 4. And Rattler's been too good, frankly. Like that's what it's been. So, yeah.
Ben?
No. No, to my point. No, Spencer Rattler has looked fine. I just am choosing violence, I guess. And a perfect time to choose violence for me because I'm upset. I'm angry. But if we're being honest, really the main thing I'm looking at is Drake May. He's just, again, he's been a treat. You hope to see him take that step forward into his second year. And he's done that and so much more. I'm just excited to see what he does against the Saints defense. So,
What we got next?
I have one
Me.
more on the matchup.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
This is a prime Rattler game. This is exactly what Rattler does well. New England allows they are the 30th in dropback success rate. The Saints are 14th in that category. That's the best category they have, is efficiency on dropback passes. They're kind of built through the philosophy of 1,000 cuts, and that's kind of how New England plays you. So it'll be interesting to see how that figures out. Rattler struggles with pressure and disguise on the back end. New England is bottom 5 in pressure rate, and they're bottom 10 in disguise rate. But with the disguise rate, Christian Gonzalez is back. Carlton Davis is back. Those guys run man coverage, and they don't hide it. So, again, the disguise might be a little who cares, because those two corners are so good that it's like, we know you're running man coverage, and they're just too good at it. So, interested to see how they figure that out. But let's move on. I'm going to continue in chronological order. So, let's go to Las
Yes.
Vegas
do it.
for Ben's
Put it on the
game.
screen.
My number 1 note. Big sigh. Oh boy. All right. Now we swing it to Ben. Ben, you go first. All right. Because I had a fun.
No, if I'm being frank, part of the reason that I picked this game is because I wanted to force you guys to talk about the Titans and Raiders. If I'm being 100% honest, but I really think it's just as it's fun to talk about, these great teams facing against each other. I think it's just as fun to talk about maybe two of the worst football teams in the NFL versus each other. Because on the opposite end of it, when you talk about these great teams, you're like, well, look at this. Stuff is clicking. Look at how smooth they're operating. Look at how beautiful it is. It's an art. And then it's really the exact opposite in these games. And it's like, well, this is a dumpster fire. And that's what makes it so much fun to watch. And the Titans are coming off of one of the wildest victories I have ever seen in my life as a football fan. If you guys want to hear thoughts, Matt talked about that. Go watch that video every Mondays. But Geno, I don't think he really has an excuse at this point. If he comes out and plays bad against the Titans, then you're like, okay, we maybe need to start talking about what the plan for the future is at quarterback. I know you just signed him, but it might get really, really ugly very, very quickly for this Raiders team. And I think their only chance of winning this game is on the ground with Aston Jeanty. They're going up against the 29th ranked run defense in the Titans. So if you have any chance of winning it, you just got to turn around, hand the ball off to the kid, and see if he can make some magic. And then on the flip side of that, they might be bad. He said it himself, but you'd be lying if you said it wasn't fun to watch Cam Ward play football. But Ryan, your thoughts?
I'm not excited about this matchup. I'm sorry. Geno Smith is so bad, dude. He's so bad. It's like, am I writing him off? I don't know, but I don't care if he writes back because I'm done. I'm done with it. It's over. I don't know. Go Titans, I guess. But I'm sorry, Max Crosby. I don't know. I mean, Ashton Jeanty's cool. I don't know what you want me to say here. It's not a. I'm not excited. I mean, good for Cam Ward, I guess. I don't know. Good. I go get him. Rah. I don't know.
So yeah, I approached this kind of. We'll get through it. These are two bottom 5 quarterback seasons, but with very, very different contexts. Cam Ward's supposed to be bad, in an aggregate, the number 1 overall pick going to a team who's kind of not low-key not set up to get a quarterback. If we think about it, they tried to fix this offensive line, and I liked it. I really, really did. And then Kevin Zeitler and J.C. Latham immediately get hurt, and the right side of the line is immediately jumbled. He ranks top 5 in dropped passes, or this receiver core ranks top 5 in dropped passes. He, as a quarterback, from that core, ranks top 5. And then you get to Geno's side. Geno is traded for. They give up a top 100 pick to get him, sign an extension before the season. He leads the league in turnover-worthy plays with 10 this year. He has a 20-plus pressure to sack rate on PFF, which, since he became a starter, I think it's 22.5, is his highest of his career, since this, last 4-year career, not thinking back to, his Jets days. I kind of just eliminate those from my mind. And he just isn't seeing the field properly. There was a play, I think I talked about it, where, there's a 3rd and 8. Albert Okwuegbunam runs over the middle of the field on a drag. The Colts are playing the sticks, 3rd and 8. They're dropped back in quarters. And he just still rips it to Jacoby Myers in, triple coverage. It's not intercepted, but it's, dropped down. You got to punt. And Alberto is, just launching the arm up. I'm wide open, dude. And they were at, midfield. So that's, taking points off the board. I know it's a game where it's, 40-6, and they have the special team stuff. But, yeah. It's overall, and he's not accurate either. That was the thing that Geno was. He could be ambitious downfield, but he could put it on your face mask as a receiver. He is not doing that this year, and that is really where it's driving stuff up a wall. And then I'll hit on my matchup real quick. This Jeffrey Simmons versus this Raiders offensive line. Mostly, I want to talk about this Raiders offensive line. Jeffrey Simmons, though, is top 10 in pressures. He's got 24 for an interior defensive lineman, which is really impressive. And he's got a top 20 pass rush win rate. So he's having a great season. Hoorah. Let's get to the offensive line for the Raiders, because I want to talk about it for a minute. Colton Miller's good. Thumbs up. He's on IR. They have Dylan Parham at left guard after he played right guard last year. All right, this is where I might confuse people. They have Jordan Meredith at center after he played 500-plus snaps at both left guard and right guard last year. Jackson Powers-Johnson, who they drafted a year ago from the old regime. He exclusively played left guard and center last season. He's played right guard. And any time he's played this year, they've also like benched him for Alex Kappa, who Alex Kappa was cut from the Bengals offensive line. So that just like, that's where he's cut from. And then DJ Glaze is just not athletically, his athletic limitations, he cannot play tackle. He just can't. Go watch the Washington game specifically. That's the game that really like, I don't know if that guy is. And then you get into like, all right, well, now Colton Miller's down. Who's going to play swing tackle? Is it going to be one of the guys we drafted in the 3rd round? Maybe Caleb Rogers, maybe Charles Grant. No, it's going to be Stone Forsythe, who over the past 3 years has been graded as one of the worst like pass blocking left tackles in football. So yeah, man, this offensive line, they have been set up for failure, like real failure. And then the other guy, like Ashton Genty, has really been set up for failure because of all the jumbling. They can't run the football. And I just always go back. I'm getting flashbacks all the time to April. Like, why couldn't we just plug Armand Membu at pick 6? Why couldn't we just do this right and figure it out from there? And we can get someone in the 2nd round and like at running back and build from that plane. It's tough, man. It's
because Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I mean, I said it before the season. What did you want to be like? Did they want to be competitive? And I didn't see the vision of them being competitive because of this line. And hey, here it is. Like here's what happens. So yeah, we spent way too much time on Titans Raiders. We'll make sure to pick it in the next segment. Let's get into Ryan's game. Shocker. The narrative bull of them all. The Bears travel to Washington to face the Commanders. The Bears offense is still finding itself, and now they're coming off a bye week, so maybe will be in full swing against this Washington defense that we've had Ben and I have had some, questions about. They're pretty good. I think they're pretty good. So let me swing it over to Ryan.
I'm so excited for this one. Obviously, like every Bears fan has this one circled on the calendar. Not just because, it's the Commanders, Hail Mary, blah, blah, right? But you're going to see some guys return to the Bears that we haven't seen them play, like, at least very much this season, i.e. your TJ Edwards, right? He played a little bit, I believe, in week 3, and then exited the game with an injury. Kyler Gordon, another guy, huge, one of the best corners in the room, is going to be joining the team. And I think this Commanders team, obviously, injury-wise, it's not looking great. You know what I mean? But, I think that's kind of like you're going to want to get them while you can kind of situation. You know what I mean? Like, if they're injured and it's going to affect how they play, you're going to want to get this win. It's a huge thing for momentum for Chicago. Going into the next few weeks, like I said, this one, you've got the Saints next week. You've got, the Ravens after that.
Not to cut you off, but the Jaguars just traded Tyson Campbell to the Browns. Right.
Breaking
right
news
now.
on the pod.
Would you look at that? Breaking news on the pod.
That's crazy.
And it immediately signed a 4-year extension, $76.5 million for 4 years. We'll get into the Browns.
Yeah, jeez. Serious? Wow. Okay. Anyways, that's crazy. Yeah, so I don't know. Back to this one. Obviously, like, the Bears didn't play as well as you would have wanted against Vegas. So, you're hoping that out of the gate, Ben Johnson stands on his word and says, like, listen, like, because he did it. He said it in the press conference and other things. He was like, I've been looking at this run game, and it's been frustrating to me because, like, this is what I do. Like, I'm an offensive guy. It's not working. And so I've been sitting down trying to figure out new ways for this run game to work. And so, to me, like, I don't think there's another team in the league that's so obvious that needs run game help than the Bears. So it's like, make a move. I don't know. But like, it'll be interesting to see what they do against the Commanders as well coming out of the bye week. And not to mention their run defense is awful. I mean, we've made that point on the podcast several times. And with the additions of Kyler Gordon and TJ Edwards, those are additions that are going to help that. So, I'm looking forward to seeing that and hopefully, getting more of a well-rounded team than what I'm used to because you're going to need to be well-rounded in order to win this matchup. On the other side of things, Jaden Daniels, he's good and he's always going to be a problem. I didn't hand up. I didn't watch Jaden Daniels this past week. I don't really know how he did. I didn't scout. So this is going to be kind of like a refresher to me. Like, hey, this guy's back from injury. You know what I mean? Apparently he did good enough to play the entire game. You know what I mean? For this past week. So I anticipate him to be healthy enough to play this week. Biggest thing is, I don't know, like I said, sweep the leg, get them while you can kind of thing. Before Ben got to me, I was stating the Bears schedule. Like, they're very winnable games that you didn't think were winnable before. And if this is one of your get back games for the locker room to where it's like we lost against them last year. Oh, did I lose you? Am I good? Okay. If this is one of your get back games for the locker room to where it's like this is a huge momentum swing, if we can go ahead and win this one. You're 2-2. You look at a positive record for once, and then you're going into New Orleans 3-2 if you win this one. I mean, it's a good look. Fingers crossed. Hopefully it goes well, but I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about this one.
No, you touched on the big thing there for me. The matchup I really wanted to touch on for this game. Is the Bill Krosky-Mary.
Mm-hmm.
The Commanders, golly, guys, I am tired. It's hard for me to put together full sentences. This Commanders run offense has been one of the best, one of the most efficient run offenses in the entire league through the first 5-6 weeks of the season. They're toting the rock for 5.9 yards per carry. They're averaging just over 154 yards a game, going against what is the worst run defense. I talked about the Titans being bad against the run. Well, the Bears are the worst run defense in the league, allowing for 164 yards a game. And if they can't stop the run, that's really going to open up avenues for Daniels to absolutely rip the ball down the field. That's even if Kyler Gordon is playing, it doesn't matter if you're going to have to commit an extra guy to stop Bill from running all over you. So I'm going to be really interested to see if, with TJ Edwards back, if this run defense can kind of take a step in the right direction. And I think if they can, I think we're going to have ourselves a ball game, and I think it's going to be really, really close. Now, if the Commanders are just going to be able to run the ball for almost 6 yards a pop, sorry, Ryan, I don't think you're in for a fun Monday night.
No.
But Matt, your thoughts?
Oh, can I say one last thing really quick, Matt? We're going to go 4 consecutive Sundays without a Bears loss. Feeling great. Anyway, sorry. It's stupid.
The bye saved you. But so I kind of teased talking about this when, I swung it over to you. But, like, remember how we had those conversations, Ben, about, like, the Washington pass rush? And, like, to see what they've been able to do against bad offensive lines. Yes, bad offensive lines. But being able to feast on those teams is something that I was, like, feared that they couldn't do. I was like, okay, there was a pit in my stomach where this could be, like, a bottom 5 to 7 pass rush. They're not, like, top 10, but I see why they got Javon Kinlaw. Is it still an overpay? Yeah. But I know why they got him now, watching what they do with stunts and things like that. Von Miller still got, like, something, I guess. But the major guys, Dorrance Armstrong took a leap Dorrance Armstrong has been like their best run defender and their best pass rusher this season. And then I had to go back because of just the narrative of it all. I went back to the game last year, just like because all we think about is one thing is the final play to Noah Brown. In that game, the Commanders averaged 6.7 yards per play. Where, for reference, the 2025 leader in that category is the Rams with 6.4 right now. So the Commanders were more efficient than the most efficient offense in football right now. The Bears didn't score points until the last minute of the third quarter, in which it was a 50-yard DeAndre Swift run, if we remember that. The Bears had the goal line fumble, in which they handed the ball to offensive lineman Doug Kramer.
Oh
And
my
the
God.
Commanders in that game went 0 for 3 in the red zone when they were a top 5 red zone to touchdown percentage team at like 63%. So just a weird game. The Commanders finished with like almost 500 offensive yards and scored 18 points. Just a very weird football game. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of how the Eberflus defense is. Keep everything in front of you, and hopefully we condense them in the red zone. But we get to my matchup. My number one matchup. I am so excited for this one. I want to see the Bears passing game against man coverage. The top 3 teams in terms of zone coverage called this season are Dallas, Vegas, and Minnesota. What do all 3 of those teams have in common? They've already played the Bears. The one team the Bears faced that aren't in that category are the Lions, who they'll throw some man coverage at you. They'll still, they were still working out the kinks with new defensive coordinator Kelvin Shepard. But they'll throw man coverage at you. But they kind of let off the gas in that game because, they scored 50 points in that one. So you don't really get the whole gist of an entire game of man coverage. And that was one of the 4 games that I think Caleb struggled the most. Just from a pure processing standpoint, it was his worst pressure to sack ratio at 40%, which is really, really bad. I just watching that when it happened, because I watched those first 2 games early in the season. That game specifically, he just had a hard time processing and unlocking the entire field through man coverage. Dan Quinn will throw man coverage at you. They're 6th. Washington is 6th in the league right now at man coverage call rate. So again, what are the answers for the Bears? This is not just a specific like Caleb Williams against man coverage, because I think Ben Johnson can really come in and cook up a game plan off a bye, knowing this is what we're going to get and we don't have a good run game. Is it schemed up in a way that everything feels easy? Or is it, player on player? Can we really attack Roma Dunze against Marshawn Lattimore or Mikey Samerstill, whoever it is, because of, his body type against this body type, whatever. I'm just intrigued to see it, because if they show that weakness once again, where it's like, oh man, they can't move the ball against man coverage and they can't run the ball, teams are going to start slamming cover 1 on them, and it's going to be a long season. But I'm intrigued to see how that goes, because that is just some of the nerd picks that I get from some of these games. But that is all for the games of the week. And for people watching on YouTube, maybe a little bit later, yes, I know we talked about the Titans and Raiders and the Patriots and Saints, and we didn't talk about the Lions and Chiefs or the Niners and Bucks. We've talked about those teams. So, again, this is kind of like mixing in the entire league with this. Are we going to... This was the week I wanted to mix in the Saints. Probably won't happen often, but this was the one week because I wanted to mix it in with the Patriots. But yeah,
And the Bears,
those are
because we've talked about them like every single week, and I'm trying not to, but this is just such a big narrative game.
yeah. But I wanted to point that out. So
Next week, oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to figure this out. But next week we'll probably talk about the Bears and Saints again, because it's inevitable. It's our guys. But we're gonna try to kind of wean off of these teams. I promise you.
Whoa. Am I hearing that the people don't like hearing talks about the Titans and Raiders, the 2 most exciting teams in football?
I'm just making a reference point that I think people are going to be like, wait a minute.
Yes.
You're not talking about the Lions and the Chiefs? Yes, we're not. We have talked about those teams. The Lions are awesome, and the Chiefs are on a downslope. But we will now predict all of those games in Pigskin pick 'em. Ryan, what is
Yes,
the
yes.
slate? What is the records, more importantly?
Yeah. So, Matt, more importantly to you, because you won last week, 9-5 was your record in the 14 games. Ben went 7-7, and then your boy went 6-8. I'm about to just, I mean, like, it's still a tight race. It's overall records.
Yeah, between me
Ben
and
is
Matt.
Ben is 54, 23-1. Matt is 49, 28-1, and then I am 43, 34-1. Let me tell you, if I drop 20 games to the leader, I might just start picking stuff for the bit. You know what I mean? Who knows? Who knows?
Vibes guy. Certified
Big vibes guy. Just see if that helps. I did go vibes with one of my picks. I'm looking forward to showing you guys. Normally, you guys would be hearing the click clack of my keyboard during this, but it's obvious that my PC doesn't like when I have more than 2 tabs open. So with that being said, if I look down, it's because I'm preparing the notes for this week. With that being said, Eagles, Giants, I'm taking the Eagles. Matt, where are you going with this?
Ooh, he did. I'm gonna take the Eagles. I think the spread is too high. It scares me from taking the Giants, but yeah.
Ben?
Imagine if I was just like, give me the Giants. No, the Eagles. Yeah.
The part in this show that I was going to talk about is coming next segment, so stay tuned. Browns Steelers. Matt, where are you going?
You skipped one.
What are you talking about?
You skipped London.
London? What's the London game? I was going off of
Broncos.
I'll tell you what. Broncos, that was the next one. I'll tell you, ESPN orders it weird. So like for those of you that don't know, I have family in Cleveland, so I favorite the Browns on my ESPN app in favor of them. And so because of that, it shows the Browns higher up on that list. And then the Bears, it ranks lower just because like it's the Monday Night Football one. So with that being said, that's why Browns Steelers is first. We'll jump to Broncos Jets after this. But yes, Browns Steelers. Matt?
Give me the Steelers coming off a bye, and the Browns are not, and they're coming from London, so that's tough. I don't know. I hate picking the Steelers. I really do.
No,
Ben?
okay. So this is a perfect time to get into it a little bit. Browns have been active when it comes to making trades. They traded their beloved Joe Flacco away to the Bengals, which that'll be a fun storyline to follow. How long does it take for them to just slot him in and say, Jake Browning, sorry, we're done with you?
They have.
And then, do you really think it happens this week on a week's notice? That'd be great.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see. And then they obviously, as you guys heard, traded for Tyson Campbell, which Jaguars. Why are we trading for Greg Newsome and a 6th-round pick? All right, you
It's
just got
money.
significantly
It's money.
worse. I know, but still,
Newsome is free agent, and Tyson Campbell can't run man coverage.
Yeah, I just hate it. I think you're downgrading just awful. I think you probably could have got a better deal out there. And then also they traded for Cam Robinson, I think like 2 weeks ago now at this point. Who would have thought that the Browns were going to be the most active team in trade negotiations? All of that being said, give me the Steelers.
Wow, all of that for nothing. Give me the Browns upside of the week. Broncos, Jets. Matt, where are we going?
I'm gonna take the Broncos. When do the Jets win a game? Remember we talked about this? We talked about this early. This was one of my things, was like the Jets' first 6 weeks is a nightmare. And it's been a nightmare for them. So, hey, they get the Panthers next week. So, see you.
Maybe. And then they feast on the Bengals and then the Browns. I mean, maybe the Jets go on a 3-game win streak. Who knows? Before making their way to New England. Ben?
Yeah, that 3-game win streak will not start now for them. I'll tell you that. Give me the Broncos.
And then, yeah, I'm also going Broncos. Chargers, Dolphins. Didn't this... Wait a minute. What? No way I messed this up. Are you serious?
No.
Oh, I messed
Chargers,
all of
Dolphins.
this up. I messed
What?
all of this up. Oh, that's great. I think, yeah. Chargers, Dolphins just happened, didn't it?
No.
Am I wrong for that?
No.
Dolphins,
No.
Panthers.
Dolphins, Panthers.
You're getting aqua blue all mixed up.
Oh my god, dude.
Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
god. Okay,
Good
yeah.
day for the guys on the pod.
Dude, yeah. All right. Yeah, where are we going? I don't know where we're going. Where are we going?
I'm gonna take the Dolphins. I think the Chargers are reeling a little bit. I'm just gonna take the home team. I don't know.
I think the Chargers bounce back up. Whoa. Ryan's gone. I'm going to take the Chargers here to bounce back. I'm just going to keep it doing it, I guess. I'm going to get hurt by the Chargers. They got some pieces to help them on the pass rush. They got a Dafe Owe. I don't know how much of an impact. Early on in his career, everyone was like, oh, this would be great. But what is it going to turn out to be?
He said something about how like the Ravens weren't unlocking him or something. And it's like, wait a minute. That's like all the Ravens do is like they churn out good pass rushers.
Exactly. So Harbaugh and Harbaugh trade. That being said, I will be going the Chargers. No clue what's going on there with the caller from Chicago. He's just kind of hanging out there, frozen. He's gone. Oh,
This is
whoa, he's
unbelievable.
back.
I switched browsers to fix this, and I ended up going back to old reliable Google Chrome anyway. So what's it matter? Yeah. Chargers Dolphins, because that game's happening this week. Chargers. That's the one that I'm going with. That's the team. Yep. Patriots Saints. Matt.
Come back.
Pick between your children. Pick between your children. Yeah. Give me the child that we have split custody of. I'm going the Patriots and Drake May.
I'm also going the Patriots. Drake May, man. This quarterback class looks really good for the future. I'm really happy about this. But yeah, Patriots.
Yeah,
Do it.
I'm gonna take the Patriots.
Lame. Rams, Ravens. Are we all in unison here for this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
I talked about this on the recap show from Monday. Like the Ravens are going to be 1-5. Like that gives you a margin error of like 2 losses maybe. That's kind of crazy to think about. So I still think they could dig out of the hole is probably the crazier part, but that's we're going to have an interesting talking point next week if a shock doesn't happen.
Yeah.
All right. And then Cardinals, Colts.
The Colts are a wagon, dude. Give me the Colts. Just a wagon.
Yeah. Give me Daniel Jones, comeback player of the year here, right?
Same. Colts all the way. Seahawks, Jaguars. This is a fun one. This one
Yeah.
I could have picked for the matchup of the week, honestly.
Yeah. We just talked about both of those teams, so we made a good call. Give me Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, this is easy. This is technically my upset of the week because the Jags are favored, but give me the Seahawks.
All right, I'll fade you guys. Jaguars, vibes guy. Cowboys, Panthers. We're all going Cowboys here, right?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Titans, Raiders. Matt. We could throw it away after this, buddy.
What a game. Yeah, give me the Raiders just from the home perspective, I guess.
Yeah. Give me the Raiders.
I was gonna say it like that. All right. 49ers, Buccaneers.
What do you mean flush it away? I'm not gonna let that go on. We still have to watch the game.
You don't have
Do
to.
we?
You don't have
Do
to
we?
watch the game.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
sick.
what we do, you know? We're the guys in the Pigskin Project. 49ers, Bucks. Yeah.
49ers. They can't keep getting away with this.
Bucks.
Yeah.
Ben
I'm
thinks
going
they'll keep
Bucks
getting
as
away
well.
with this.
Well, okay. My main thing with the Bucks.
Yeah.
and the Niners
Also,
matchup,
I'll
he's-
stamp it dead. The Baker hate agenda's over, dude. That guy's he's so good.
He's
it's
good
annoying,
now. It's
but
awesome.
he's so good. It's insane.
in the same vein that you said the Bucks can't keep getting away with this. Mac Jones can't keep getting away with this. Mac Jones looks like a top 5 quarterback throwing to Keyshawn Boutte, and that's it. Like, what are we doing? There's no one to
What?
throw the football to, and he still looks great.
No,
can't
you're
get away.
thinking of the other KB, Kendrick Bourne.
Or Kendrick Bourne. Yeah, you're right. I'm
Yeah.
mixing my Patriots
like-
wide receivers up.
Yeah.
Mixing
I was thinking the same thing. It happens to me all the time.
But he can't get away with this. All right, Bucks. Come on.
I'm going Bucks as well. I like him. I'm not gonna lie. Him and Ibuka, man. Oh my gosh.
Has anyone
right.
locked up like offensive rookie of the year so fast?
I know,
Dude.
dude.
Yeah, which is crazy because I feel like Tetaroa, sorry, doesn't like being called that.
Well, he
but
can't
I feel
get
like
touchdowns because his quarterback can't
Yeah.
throw inside the 15.
yeah.
You said it
Bengals,
right.
Packers. I mean, there's no way Flacco wins his debut, right?
He's 1-0 against the Packers already this year.
Yeah, I know. It would be so funny,
I'm
dude.
just
So funny.
Just saying.
Yeah,
the
I'm
Packers.
going Packers. Yeah.
Yes.
Lions, Chiefs. Fun one. Ben,
Do you guys
or
know the
Ben,
line
sorry.
on this one?
What's the line on this one?
Guess.
Are we
Well,
talking
if you
about
give me a
over-under,
second,
or are
it's
we
on the
talking about,
scroller.
Yeah, I'm just saying. If
Are
you
we
guys
talking
don't know
about-
it,
are we talking about points, or are we talking about like spread? Or?
who's favored? Yeah, who's
The
favored by
Lions.
how much?
The Lions are favored by 2.5. 1.5.
Opposite. It's Chiefs by 2.5.
Wow.
Everybody's calling it. Everybody's like, that's rat. That's a rat.
It is right.
Give me the Chiefs. Because it's a rat line. You got to fade.
No, I'm taking the rat line. Give me the Lions.
I'm
Eat the
also
cheese like
going
Arizona
the
State,
Lions.
then.
All right, Bears, Commanders. Matt.
Commanders.
Commanders.
Yeah, I'm going commies too. And the reason
Whoa!
why is because there's an official that's officiating that game on Monday, and like
No.
the penalties are
no.
crazy. And I'm not
Is it
saying
Torbert?
that I don't remember exactly what his name is. I just remember reading it like this afternoon. And I'm not saying the Bears are going to get screwed over. I'm just saying the Bears are a really bad team when it comes to penalties on the O-line. And that tends to lead to like plenty of mistakes on the offense or like a very inefficient offense in the Bears. So with that being said, like I just don't have faith in that right now. So, shocker. I know. Anyways, Bills, Falcons. Matt?
No, dude, it's the Monday doubleheaders. The bane of my existence. Give me the Bills.
Yeah.
Going Bills as well. All right.
Fact
So
check.
that
Did Matt take every favorite? Probably.
yeah. Anyways, all right, that does it for Pigskin Pick'em. Let's get into Pigskin Payouts so that I can finally reveal what I was talking about all podcast. So normally I give you guys 4 touchdown scorers for each week. I'm giving you technically 5 because Saquon's going to score twice. That's the spoiler. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be crazy. And then I have Puka, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and James Cook. Right now, for whatever reason, the lines aren't open for Puka, so you can't put this together. But yeah, that's what's going to happen. I'm telling you, put some money down when you're able to. If not, leave Saquon out of it because that's stupid. Yeah. If I were to pick another one just for the heck of it, I'd go Krosky Merritt. Krosky Merritt anytime touchdown. Oh, I think I might have lost you guys. No, I didn't.
No,
Okay,
no,
cool.
no.
Krosky Merritt, yeah. Krosky Merritt, Amon-Ra St. Brown, James Cook, and Puka. So if you're putting this together on like a Saturday, that's the winner right there. So
No,
That's such a crazy lay.
that is. What's the pay? Oh yeah, you can't.
you can't fill it out right now. I would love that, but yeah, I'm playing against the defenses, man. I love it so much.
Yeah,
I've
gonna
gotten one away every single week, just so you know. Like every week, I'm pretty positive I'm only one touchdown score away. So
I'm gonna
Yeah.
stick to my tried and true lines here. We're gonna have Dallas cover 2.5, and to be frank, you could probably buy some points on that line. Like you could probably have them cover the 3.5. And up the odds up a little bit there. I'm having the Chargers cover 2.5 against the Jaguars. This is the week. And then Seattle money line. That brings your total payout to plus 442. You bet $10, you win 54.
Matt, you done building, bro?
Dude, I have like one thing I like.
It's a master at work here.
What if I just sit it out? No gambling this weekend. I only like Dallas -3. I really do.
Yeah.
I think you could you could sprinkle some team totals on like the Rams if you want. Actually, give me over in Patriots, Saints, and then Cowboys, and I mean, why not? Tyler Warren touchdown. That's 740 on DraftKings.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there you go. There's something. I did my job.
There we go. All right. So that does it for Pigskin Payout. We are not responsible for your losses. Don't be stupid. And then, yeah. So I'm going to figure out my connection issue and hopefully feedback for next week in full go. I don't know what's going on. This PC that I just bought is crapping out on me already. So maybe it's me. I don't know. We're going to figure this out. I'm leaving it to the experts yet again. Before we do it, though, for College Corner, just a little input from your boy. Because, I mean, do you mind? Can I spoil the 4 matchups that you have queued right here? Because, like, these are all 4 of them that I'm really excited about. But I don't want to keep glitching out because I feel like it's a waste of everybody's time.
One of them is from last week, but the top 3 are this week, yeah.
Okay, cool. So Ohio State versus Illinois. Obviously, you want your number 1 to play as many ranked opponents as possible when you're a casual fan. It's just like, this is really cool, you know. I think OSU is going to obviously win this game. However, I don't like the -14.5. That's really ugly. And the over-under, I'd take the under. Just saying. That's my gut feeling. IU versus Oregon. My God, am I excited for this one. Dude, I'm so bummed. Side note, we'll take that off for half a second. I'm so bummed that I have to work this Saturday, and I originally requested off November 1st at the beginning of the college football season because that slate was supposed to be really good, and it's just not anymore. I was afraid of that happening. But, like, if I could go back in time and request off a weekend to watch college football, it'd be this one right here. This slate is really good. The guys are going to take care of you and explain why. But this Indiana and Oregon game, this is showing you. I mean, -7.5 for Oregon, but I mean, Indiana's been really competitive, and I'm really excited about that one. There's reason to be excited about that one. Michigan, USC, we're talking about that one as well. Michigan, boo, go USC. My quarterback played there. Yeah. That's pretty much all that the casual fan has. I'm a happy Cubs fan this week. and I'm going to be happy watching college football on Saturday. So enjoy your guys' weekend, and see you guys next week from me, and hit your parlays. Good luck. All right, boys, talk to you soon.
Oh, where to start? Where to start? There are two places to start when talking about college football this past weekend. There's obviously one clear, obvious place to start, but we're not going to do that because we do have our resident Texas fan here. So we're going to pivot to the other upset first here. I'm happy that you made it to halfway through the week with us, Matt, after having to bleach your eyeballs from the game that you had watched, where Texas ends up going to the swamp and getting absolutely curb stomped by Florida. The box score doesn't necessarily tell you the level of play in this. Florida just looked outright clearly the better team in this game, which was shocking. I mean, we went into this game saying, well, at least Texas can hang their hats on their defense. But really the overall big talking point, the main thing people want to talk about in this game is Arch Manning. Matt, take it away.
Yeah, I want to start on the other side. Lagway was so good in that one. Like that was the main thing. Like the way that they're able. That's like why I said before the season Florida's going to beat Texas. Like with Baugh as a running back and how big and physical he is a type of running back that will give Texas fits in between the tackles. And then Lagway, like he had the lowest time to throw in his entire career. So like everything was just quick, ball out. There was also a play where like Dallas Wilson, welcome to the SEC. He just dominates. Who was it? I think it was Black on the outside to where he just runs down the boundary and catches a touchdown pass that way. Yeah, I mean for Florida, starting with the team that won, like that was everything that you envisioned that this offense could be this year, and it's like it still doesn't matter for Napier. Like there's no shot that they bring him back, even if he keeps playing spoiler. And then for Texas, I mean the back against the walls now, guys. I was hard on him in the moment. Listen, Arch with the cards that are dealt for this offense, I just. It's fascinating, man. Like Wingo is not taking the step as a true like dominant one of the guys in college football at receiver this year. Emmett Mosley finally played the Stanford transfer. Parker Livingston gets destroyed in this one, so he has to leave. He's been the most consistent player on this offense. And then the run game, like the offensive line and the run game, there were 9 design carries for Texas running backs for 11 yards in this one. Arch was the leading rusher with 37, and he had a run where it was like, I think he had like a 30-yard scramble run in this one. So you think about that, it's like this is where Texas was feasting on teams last year in the SEC, was being able to truly out physical teams. And yeah, losing a ton of, losing 4 out of 5 starters, I knew that would be like a step back, but the step back that they have taken, like Goosey, the pre-snap penalties are so bad. What was it? I think Nick Brooks came in this game at left guard. Like he was one of the worst players of the week on the offensive end for this team. Overall, like I think it's just the margin for error. I said it going into the year. 2026 is the season, and I'm just a Texas fan making excuses. Maybe not, but it's just. Overall, this is going as bad as it possibly can, and being able to see the defense get gashed the way that it did in a season where it felt like that was, to hang your hat on. But I think it's a combination of like, hey, Florida's like still pretty good, and maybe Texas isn't like the best team in the country, and hey, we got it wrong, which also with the number 2 team in the preseason poll.
Yeah, quickest team to to drop out of that, which previously I think was held by uh, a team that we will be talking about later in terms of previews in USC. But yeah, it has just been quite the season of college football to begin with. I mean, there were so many high hopes for all these different teams going into the season, and there's been a lot that we have been wrong on. One of those being the one of the biggest upsets I have ever seen in my time, maybe the biggest upset I've ever seen in my time watching college football. And people want to crack their
Is
jokes.
it bigger than NIU? That's the thing. Like
Probably not. Especially coming off of the week that they had heading into this. Those who haven't yet figured out what we were talking about UCLA beating Penn State. But I mean, there were talks going into this, and the talks will probably continue because one game doesn't really necessarily make a whole lot of difference about UCLA being the worst Power 4 team in football. And I, to be frank, still think they are. You got one heck of a win. But I mean, the running joke now is that everyone was saying that, like, oh, James Franklin, you can beat up on these little guys, but you can't win the big games. And James Franklin said, I'll show you, and loses to little guys. But I was just in awe. And I mean, UCLA, I don't know if you were actually watching that game live. UCLA tried to really let Penn State win that game. There was that final minute of the game for UCLA was just grossly mishandled. But all in all, it was just a fantastic story hearing their offensive coordinator talk and Nico saying, well, like he couldn't even figure out the headset half the time, and they were still able to beat a ranked team. It was just so much fun. And at what point, swinging over to the Penn State side of it, are you just like, James Franklin, you're done. You're out of here, right? The one thing you could do, again, was beat those little teams. But if you can't even do that, what are you here for? Do you think Penn State just, at the end of the year, says, see you later, James Franklin?
No chance. No chance. I think bios are just too crazy. Why?
Because what's the point of having a coach that can't win big games?
I think there's something nice about knowing that you have one of the 15 best teams in the country year over year. I that's what it is. I think there is a level of consistency. I know the bottom seems to be falling out this year, but I think there is just enough. I think they could negotiate something like where say he wants to leave, where it's like I want to find a new opportunity, but for them it's I don't think you're just gonna find an upgrade. You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't think you're just gonna go out and find someone better. If that makes any sense. But
would you take given the opportunity? Summerall said, I'm leaving, I'm coming to Penn State. Would you take Summerall over James Franklin right now?
Probably not. I mean, make the playoff, dude. Win the American. Win the American this year, and I can consider it.
Yeah, but with what quarterback? At least he goes to Penn State and he's able to get I level of talent. But I tend to agree with you. I just think it's a fun thought experiment to have.
I think we zig so much on Franklin. I think there is a level of like having a floor that is a plus in college football, because like they're every year over year, when we talk about August, they are going to be mentioned for the playoff. There's like 30 teams a year max who are like, yeah, all right, they can make the playoff, So I think there is a level of like just knowing that is a nice thing to have in your back pocket year over year. But I want to talk about UCLA. This was Jerry Neuheisel, who played for UCLA obviously became the offensive coordinator overnight when they fired was it Tino something, who came from Indiana, was this Nico savant, and they knew all about it, and this is how they get Nico to UCLA. Nico Imaliava played his best career football game on that day in the Rose Bowl just a few days ago. That was awesome. And I ended up watching this game later because I had most of my attention focused on the Texas Longhorns. But Gary Danielson on the broadcast was awesome. He made so many like great points of like, all right, this is how you could tell if does this team have any fight left? You're gonna watch the receivers. Like, are the receivers blocking? Is there a real like, you know, belief in the scheme, belief in the design? And they were blocking their asses off, man. Like, all of the running backs were running hard, and as little as that sounds, that is a huge thing for an 0-4 football team facing Penn State. It's so easy to just roll over and die. And they fought for interim coach Tim Skipper and Jerry Neuheisel, and just overall the scheme of it all, of being able to, like, it felt like every 3rd and 8, Nico Imaliava just made the play. He had multiple scrambles on 3rd and long. I think I counted like he had 4 on 3rd and 7 or longer that he scrambled for the first down. He made the thing happen, and that was pretty cool. And just I know I definitely zag on the Nico situation. I am definitely like, I am on the opposite side of like, listen, I think it's more his family wanting to get to the Los Angeles area more so than him with the Tennessee situation. But for him to have that moment where it was like, you were worth it, whether it's this week, just this week, or, you know, it never happens again, whatever, it happened. And it was pretty cool to have that moment. Like, there are things in a college football season that just I don't forget over a season. And this is one of those moments that it's like, interim offensive coordinator, offensive play caller, 3 days notice against Penn State, who's like, you know, is one of the national championship favorites. I get they're coming off the loss against Oregon, but you go in there, you score 42 points on them. What was the biggest takeaway we had from the game against Oregon? Defense looked pretty good. So it's like, that's what's crazy about it. And so for them to pull that off is just uniquely impressive. And I'm excited to see what they do from here. I know they're at least going to get buy-in for the rest of the season, you know, the rest of the 8 or 9 weeks they have left.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Again, if nothing else, you have the buy-in, and Nico was worth it. So I agree. Swinging it back over to the SEC, Matt, Vegas continues to get the best of us. In the first half of the Bama Vandy game, we're like, oh, wait a minute. Could we be right? Could Vandy do this? And Vandy, they kept it close. It was a tied game going into half, 14-14. And then in the second half, they just could not get anything done. I very vividly remember you being like, yo, Vandy is actually moving the ball down the field on this Alabama defense. And then it was like a flip switch in the second half. They just, whether that was something Vandy had done in their game plan to change it, whether that was something that DeBoer and the Bama defense had done in the half, but they just could not get anything going in the second half of that game. But your thoughts? I know you were watching at least a little bit of this game.
Margins. Vanderbilt a year ago, the way that they could beat Alabama is they were so efficient on 3rd down and they didn't turn the ball over. In this game, the point score says 16. This was within a 1-score game the entire game outside of the final, like, I think it was like 4 minutes or so. They kicked a field goal, then they got somehow Alabama gets the ball and they scored like a covering touchdown in the final 20 seconds. A lot of people were upset about that. I didn't bet the spread. I actually did. I zagged. I went the under. But yeah, this game, talking about the margins back, Vanderbilt had a fumble in the red zone from Diego Pavia and had an interception in the red zone from Diego Pavia. That is effectively taking points off the board in a one-score game, not once but twice on the road in Tuscaloosa. That's how you lose. That's why you lose. And I think they would be the first to say that's why we lost. I'm still bullish on Vanderbilt and what they could do. Maybe, and that's not me saying like, oh, I think they're going to make the playoff, but like still bullish on like, hey, Vanderbilt's going to win like 8 games this year, or they have the potential to win 8 games this year. So to take that away from Vanderbilt athletics, like that's a big plus. And then the other side for Alabama, Ty Simpson continues to just impress and continues to do big boy things, big boy throws over the middle of the field. This is what everybody imagined he could be as a passer. And you look around the conference, it's like the guys that we talk about at the top of the conference are gimmicky quarterbacks, where what he's doing feels actually real as like a passer standpoint, like a drop back standpoint. So yeah, Alabama, tip of the cap, and they get to do it all over. This is what is so awesome about the SEC this year. It's like, all right, you beat Vanderbilt, so it's like tip of the cap. Now you got to go to Mizzou. Now you got to go to Columbia. Like, have fun. Like, figure it out. It's the SEC winner this year is going to have 2 losses. Like, I'm at that point that I feel like we're going to trade a lot of blows within this conference where it's like there's no real takeaway if a team loses to another team in the SEC. Maybe it's copium, but yeah, this is going to be a bloodbath looking at the final 6 weeks of the SEC.
Yeah, it absolutely will be. To speed through 3 games that I think are probably worth talking about, and then I got one more just very odd and unique note to talk about. But 3, again, games very quickly. Miami ends up beating Florida State in a game that was probably a lot closer than or was a lot more dominant than what the score suggests. Miami beats them 28-22. Florida State just had a really, really big fourth quarter where they ended up putting up 19 points. Before that, they had 3 points in the first 3 quarters. Mississippi State, you were a fun team to watch there for a little bit, but they ended up losing to Texas A&M 31-9. Michigan, they beat Wisconsin 24-10, but that passing offense continues to butt its ugly head with Sherrod Moore. I
thought Bryce looked really good.
Yes, yeah. Bryce is not the issue. It's the awful play calling, and I don't know what it is about Sherrone when Sherrone is here, but it's like a flip gets switched, and he's not even the one calling the plays. Chip Lindsey, the offensive coordinator, is the one who's calling the plays, but when Moore was not here, they were letting the kid freaking sling that rock. And then Sherrone comes back, and they're like, back to these weird hitches and screens and everything that's parallel with the line of scrimmage, and it just makes me want to bash my head into a wall. But we won. We're a top 15 team in the country now, so I can't complain too much. And then Virginia squeaks out a win against Louisville in overtime. They win 30-27. Any of those games you want to talk about more in depth, or any games that I missed before we get into our last point?
I mean, touch on Miami and like what Miami did for the first 3 quarters. They tried to crystal ball it at the end, losing the lead, but Miami is just. I think they're the best opportunity for any team to finish undefeated. Frankly, just because and it's more so like, haha, they have to play an ACC schedule, but they're just. The line of scrimmage stuff is just so apparent. This was what we talked about going into this Florida State game, is they could really overwhelm them if they wanted to. Malachi Toney makes some, plays downfield, and it's wraps. It's wraps in the third quarter against a team that is fun, but Gus Malzahn and Tommy Castellanos, if those guys are dropping back more than 30 times, you're like, oh, this is not going great. He dropped back 45 times, or he had 45 attempts. So he could have even more. attempts down or dropbacks because he scrambles so damn much. Texas Tech, we talk about how the Big 12 never has anybody good or like anybody like really threatening. They're threatening, man. They watching that Houston game because I flipped over right as those like middle games ended, flipped over to Texas Tech and Houston that was going on right before like the Miami and Florida State started. Texas Tech just throttled Houston, and Houston has what is it? I believe Zion Chris comes into this game a little bit later, but yeah, I mean they walloped them, man, and Texas Tech continues to do that in the Big 12, so I'm interested for a game not this week but next weekend when they travel to Tempe to face Arizona State. That's going to be the one that let's continue to prove it. Texas Tech, continue to prove it because you look real deal. But that's all for the ones here.
Okay, final little. I don't know if you can call it news point, snippet, story, whatever you want to call it.
Is this Chipotle?
No, whoa, Chipotle. I have no clue. No, this is a lot more fun than Chipotle.
Okay. You don't know the Chipotle story?
What is the Chipotle
Apparently,
story?
John Mateer told the kid making his tortilla bowl that he's 100% going to play for against Texas.
Okay, where was this posted on Reddit?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, you remember Will Levis on Reddit? All right. That was the
draft. That was different. That was the draft. That was different.
But no, this is something that we talked about going into the podcast. Trouble in paradise down there in Chapel Hill. Each week, it just continues to feed us just more fun to follow. Fun from a outside fan. I mean, if you're a UNC fan, God bless
well, if
your
you're
soul,
a UNC fan, you've already checked into Caleb Wilson playing college basketball for you. So I don't feel too bad for UNC fans. I don't think a UNC football fan exists. Is that too harsh?
No, it probably isn't. A whole lot of conversation about Bill Belichick wanting to be done already. A whole lot of conversation about UNC already being done with Bill Belichick. Stuff about UNC purposefully illegally recruiting so they can pay or buy out Bill Belichick for less money. Bill Belichick went MIA during the bye. No one's able to reach him. And then during the podcast, right before the podcast, they put out a report saying, "Oh, well, we're committed," and the athletic director and Bill both put out their own separate statements, basically saying the same mumbo jumbo about how they're committed to each other and whatnot. But again, it's just the story that just keeps feeding. It is really funny. I think at this point there's no way that he's the head coach this time next year at UNC. I don't know if he even makes it through the end of the year at UNC, and that's crazy because they're paying him $50 million to be the head coach. So have fun paying that buyout, illegal recruiting or not. But do you have any thoughts on this before we get into those games of the week?
I don't know how this goes beyond a year. I don't know how this goes beyond 1 year because you're at the point where, I mean, Mike Lombardi is comparing himself to Sam Hinkie, and Sam Hinkie, the 76ers GM, who told everybody, hey, it's okay, we're going to suck on purpose because we're going to get good players because there's a draft. It's not like that in college football. The bad teams stay bad. Just like, well, I mean Vanderbilt. But you get what I'm saying. Like, and for UNC, specifically, big picture. Think about how the ACC is going to lose Clemson and Florida State within the next 5 years. Remember when like Florida State had all those like ongoing trials. the ACC delayed the inevitable for 5 more years. UNC is a part of that group that is trying to get out of the ACC to create the super conference that will one day be created in college football. UNC needs a good product on field to like intrigue people of, of getting into that super conference and being one of the teams being able to get that revenue share each and every year. And with Bill Belichick, that's just not going to happen because Bill Belichick doesn't care. Like I think that's the point that I'm at. If the guy doesn't care for you and he just doesn't, I think they thought they were smarter than everybody else. And then like the spring portal happened and they were like, oh, we have like nobody. So they really just threw darts at the wall with a ton of guys. And yeah, it just hasn't worked. And you think about the first play against Clemson, coming off a bye, was a double pass. A double pass touchdown, and it was just immediately like, oh, this is done. This game's over. And then, like, the end of it, because I was getting pissed watching it because I'm trying to watch Texas. He's calling timeouts with 10 seconds left. They're down by 30. That was like the little thing. They were down by 30 on their own 30, Ben. Down, like, just Max Johnson's in the game. Timeout with 2 seconds left. Just ridiculous stuff. I got to get the reps in. But overall, I'm glad the guy is going to be able to be a buyout football coach. I think someone's going to hire him, and he'll be a media member by wild card weekend at this rate. Because I just don't think the guy cares enough. I think Bubba Cunningham was pressured to, like, do it. Hey, do it. Because, like, why not? And now they're like, oh, we probably shouldn't have done that. And you think about, like, did we skip over someone really, really good? Did we skip over someone that could have really changed the program? I don't know. But it's really interesting to read everything about this because it's just, it's hilarious to watch, but at the same time, it's so bad.
Yes. A lot of good football to talk about, though. That's for sure. We told you guys to wait a week until the slate happens, and then again chose us to tell you to wait a week after those upsets. But you guys did wait a week, and now we're here if you want to get into the games.
So yeah, I'm going to sort this out differently. We're going to talk 6 games, okay? 3 Big Ten, and then 3 SEC, because I think these 3 games are really. I think these are 3 real shaping games, and we'll throw out our notables obviously each, but these are the 6 games that I think that are really going to demand the slate, demand the TV. Let's start with the number 1 team in the country. Ryan mentioned it. Ohio State travels to Champaign, and look at that point spread. That point spread was not there when they traveled to Husky Stadium a few weekends ago. And then they saw what Ohio State was able to do to the Huskies, and also taking into account what Illinois is able to do against other top 10 teams in the country. But for this one, I'm fascinated to see how Illinois just throws the football in this one, because Altmaier, Hank Beatty are this is something Ohio State hasn't seen. They have not seen experienced quarterback player. If you want to talk about Parker Navarro with Ohio, that's fine. But you think about Drake Lindsey last weekend, he's a redshirt freshman. You think about Damon Williams, he's a redshirt freshman. You think about Arch in week 1. He is a redshirt sophomore. He's only started 2 games up into that point. Luke Altmaier's seen a ton of football, and unanimously, I think you go around the country, he's a top 10 quarterback in the sport. So you're going on the road against a very, experienced and knows the moment team like Illinois. I'm interested to see how Illinois stretches the field downfield, because I think there's a world where you can. They still haven't shown like anything on offense, Ohio State, that I'm like really threatened by. You know what I'm saying? Like it's when we need to, we can spam the receivers, and maybe it's going to be that the entire season. because those guys are really, really good. Let's just run the rock 40 times a game, and when we need to, we can click this easy button that is number 4 or number 17 or whoever. But for the most part, it might just be a point and shoot, saying season, but he did some good things against Minnesota. I want to give him some credit on that. But Ben, what are you looking for in this one?
No, I mean that goes back to what we had said at the start of the season. You have a Ferrari, you just got to know how to steer the thing. You don't even got to push the gas on it. You just have to know how to steer the thing. And that's where they've gotten. They're by far and away, I mean, as we've talked about, the best team in the country. And that's coming off the back of having a quarterback that really hasn't done anything special. And I think as the season goes on and Julian Sayin continues to get more confidence and continues to build more comfort in this offense, I think, and this pains me to say and hurts me to say greatly, we're just going to continue to see Ohio State get better and better and better. But yeah, I think you made a great point. This is the first time that they actually see and face a good, experienced quarterback. They haven't had to do that thus far, given Altmaier really hasn't been able to play very well when playing against top 10 teams, as you said. It's going to sound crazy to say after the week of football that we had just watched, but I really don't think they stand a chance in this game. And I think you just want to see how Altmaier can handle and bounce back against a top 10 team. I think, as that funny little number next to their name says, they're on the outside looking in. And can they do enough? Because I think they're going to drop. But can they do enough to convince the committee Altmaier can hang in these big-time games? And I'm just interested to see if they can do that.
Yeah, this Ohio State defense, they fly. And I like there was skepticism on my end from like the Patricia thing where it's like, oh, maybe, again, hasn't seen the sport. Can he do it with lower level talent? Well, he's got the best talent level in the country. So it's like this is easy for him. He could put a ton on their plate. And what they do on the back end, specifically disguising, I think he's just having the time of his life. And then like he could also in the red zone just be like, hey, go play press man. Just go beat the hell out of those guys. And they do it. And they do it at a great level. Let's move on to the next one. The top 10. This is where game day is going, I believe. Number 7, Indiana, traveling to Eugene, Oregon to face the Ducks, undefeated versus undefeated in the Big Ten. Essentially, I think because neither of these teams play Ohio State, you could make the case this is a Big Ten championship play-in game, possibly, just because you look ahead at what's left on each of their schedules. Yes, I know Indiana has to go to Penn State. What could Penn State be at that time? I don't know. But this one is fascinating. I'm going to let you kick it off.
No, I think that's a big thing. I think this game probably comes down to, does the winner of this game make it into the Big Ten championship to have the honors of getting absolutely destroyed and demolished by Ohio State? But as you had said with Penn State early on into this segment, can Indiana's defense keep Oregon's offense in check enough? And I know this is going to sound crazy because it's Penn State and Drew Allard and their running backs and everything. But right now, Indiana's offense looks better than Penn State. If you just drop that Penn State defense and you just drop it right into Indiana, I think Indiana has a very, very real shot. Now, they don't have that Penn State defense or the way that Penn State played. At least they haven't shown it quite yet. But if this defense can rise to the occasion and kind of get some pressure on Dante Moore, make him struggle, make him think for another half second, I think they have enough pieces on offense to get the job done. On the flip side of that, talking about Oregon's defense, that front seven has shown that they are one of the best front sevens in all of football. So how does Indiana's offensive line that is filled with upperclassmen, a whole bunch of guys that have been there, been in these situations. How do they hold up against this Oregon front seven? And I think if they can hold up against that Oregon front seven and their defense can stay in it, they have a really good shot of shocking Eugene and winning this game. That being said, if they can't pressure Dante Moore will sit back in the pocket all game long and just throw it to his freshman wide receiver who's going to catch 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, and it won't even be a game. But that being said, I kind of really like the 7.5 spread for Indiana. I think Indiana has a real good chance at covering that. So,
Yeah, I again, so many of these games, especially they just come down to the trench play. Can your trench handle what we can throw at you? And this is, you made mention of it, Oregon throwing at Indiana, because Indiana is based in strong power run game and setting up everything off of that. And I think they're more viable to like straight drop back this year than they were with Rourke last year, because Rourke had the knee injury and overall can't really access levels of the field that Mendoza can with his arm talent. But yeah, it's if we're like watching the game and it's like the first 2 drives are like, all right, 1st and 10 run and it's a yard, and then they try it again and it's 3 yards. It's just nothing for the whole the whole first few drives. I'm gonna call it just because I do on college football games. Sometimes all I need to see is 2 drives, and I've been wrong plenty of times before. But yeah, I would be. I'm just interested in seeing how Indiana's offense attacks Oregon's defensive line, because what they're rooted in, Oregon can kind of swallow up. So it comes down to that fight factor. And I know a lot of people are doing like the whole like, oh, well, they were, the last time they went on the road, they barely beat Iowa. Iowa's tough as hell, man. Like that's just, I'm always gonna say that every time, but it's like you don't think about how hard it is to win there until you win there. So let's get into the final Big Ten showdown of the weekend, the battle for 4th. Michigan traveling to Southern Cal, and USC is favored likely because of that travel. You get the Bryce Underwood versus Maiyava matchup. Maiyava is one of the nation's leaders in quarterback play. The receivers, I'm going to swing it to you. I'm going to look up if Jacoby Lane is fully healthy for this one. I have to assume he is going to be fully back because he was kind of in spot duty against Illinois. And Mekhi Lemon had the game that he had. So I'm interested to see how these receivers obviously attack the Michigan secondary. And again, like we always make the joke about, USC secondary players like against Michigan's, because I think Donovan McCulley is coming on at the perfect time. Like he's really growing as an actual player where Michigan's receivers didn't have an actualized player. And so that's a plus. That's a good thing. And I, coming off the game that he just had, I think Bryce is only ascending and can only have, positive momentum going into this one.
No, absolutely. I laugh here because you talk about, McCulley, turning into his own. He's about the only Michigan wide receiver that can play. Marsh is good. I have to give the freshman credit, and I think the kid has proven to many fans that he should get more run.
Me sitting on the couch too. Yeah, like I agree with you on that one.
Yes, Andrew March, just a fun treat to watch as a freshman. But why are we wasting time talking about the Michigan wide receiver when we should be talking about the USC wide receiver, Malachi Lemon? Man, we had talked about him 2 weeks ago when we had recapped the Illinois game. I think that's really the key factor in this game. Can you limit him? If you can kind of keep him in check, and he's not, I don't know if I want to quite say you have to. I think you could shut him down. I don't think he's quite yet to the level that's like you can only hope to limit him because you can't shut him down. I don't think he's quite there yet, but he very well is on track to do that. But I think with our front seven that we have, if you can just kind of just throw brackets at him all game and say, Maava, good luck throwing the football to Malachi Lemon. I think if you can do that and keep him in check, I think Michigan has a very real shot at this game. But we had talked about it with Michigan before. On the flip side of that, you can hope to, shut down Malachi Lemon and Lane as much as you want, but it's not going to mean anything if you can't get anything done on the offensive side of the football. It's what I had said after the Oklahoma game. I had mentioned it very briefly when I talked about the Wisconsin game. I'm excited to see if they finally open up the playbook against a good team in a hostile environment. Let the kid sling it. As you said, he's ascending. He looks better each and every week that he is stepping foot on the football field. Open up the playbook. Let him rip it, especially with that connection between McCulley and him that you had mentioned. But again, I just think it's just going to be a fun game. And I think it could go very far for Michigan if they can win this game. And I'm just excited to see how it goes for them.
Yeah, there's nothing conclusive on these injury reports because I want to see if left tackle Elijah Page is playing for USC because Barham is just switched into full-time edge at this point, and he might be their it's probably no might. He is their best pass rusher this season.
He's one of the best pass rushers in college football. I mean, I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that matchup figures out, but yeah, I think they got to win because of they have to win because of Bryce Underwood more so than winning, running the ball and doing what they have with Justice Haynes and their offensive line and how Sharon, like you said, Sharon likes to kind of coach around a game where I think that against Wisconsin you can do that, you can big dog them, but this game against USC, you're going to need points. You're just going to need points. So that is all for the Big Ten. We talked about the Big Ten. We're going to swing it over to the SEC. I'm going to find the point spreads and then show the little banner title. But first, we're going to go in chronological order again. ABC. Number 8 ranked Alabama travels to Columbia to face number 14 Mizzou. Eli Drinkowitz is already doing his trolling. Did you see any of that, Ben? Where they did like they have like the SEC coaches call or whatever, and he asked DeBoer. He's like, DeBoer, are you wearing the black hoodie? Because DeBoer's record with the black hoodie is apparently really really good at Bama, even with us wearing the black uniforms and. He was, DeBoer was having some fun with it. But, yeah, again, Mizzou has played nobody. And this is, like, the 4th game for Bama that is actually, like, perk your eyes up. So I'm excited for this one to just figure out what's real. And, yeah, this might be the best pass rush that it's not. No might. I got to stop saying might. This is the best pass rush they faced. Damon Wilson and Zion Young at Mizzou, like I'm pretty sure they're like top. They're in the top 15 in pressure rate this season, so that's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, what do you see from this one?
Ahmed Hardy. Again, that's kind of picking the low-hanging fruit. But can Ahmed Hardy and Bo Pabula combined continue to put together one of the best rushing attacks in all of college football? And I think they have the opportunity to do that against Alabama. And I think if they can run the football very well, I think we might start having to have that conversation about Bama and say, well, Bama's going to lose this game. Again, you might have to call it after the first 2 drives of Mizzou. And Mizzou just shows early on in the game that we are just going to run the ball down your throat and there's nothing you can do about it. They're going to be in for a very, very, very long day. That being said, I think if they can buy some time there for Ty Simpson, I mean, you mentioned the Mizzou edge rushers. If Alabama's offensive tackles, because they have a very good offensive tackle in their own right, if they can buy some time for Ty Simpson, I think they're probably in good position to just have Ty Simpson to continue to build upon what he has been post Florida State week 1. So again, I think it comes back down to shocker theme of the episode. Can they establish the trenches? And if they can, I think Mizzou can win.
Yeah, I agree with you because I mean their engine is Ahmed Hardy, who is the best back in the country. So it's very, very simple for Mizzou. I think being able to lean on that and Bama's gettable on the ground. That's why this line is 3.5, because Bama was able to get got against a game plan oriented run attack against Florida State. They were able in that second half. Georgia had opportunities to win the game and they didn't. So that's more so on Georgia not capitalizing more so than Alabama, taking the game away. Like Alabama didn't score in that second half. So again, Bama's gettable. You saw Vanderbilt pop them on that opening drive to go up 7-0. So it's like they're just so gettable on the ground, and with Mizzou's running game having that opportunity of either or in the quarterback or the running back just adds another element to it. Interested to see how that one shakes out. And again, it's at are they Eastern 11 Central? I don't know, but it's early game. It's sleepy game. Sometimes you got to keep an eye on these noon games for sleepy performances because no one's ready for the moment. I can tell you what's not going to be sleepy. Sleepy is the Cotton Bowl, playing host to obviously number 6 ranked Oklahoma facing unranked Texas in the Red River Shootout. This is a pick'em by any account. Some have Oklahoma favored by 1.5. Some have Texas favored by 1.5. So declared an official pick'em. There is a report that this is factoring in John Mateer, the quarterback of Oklahoma, actually playing in the game. And if Mateer was not playing, it would be like 5.5 Texas. So that's a huge swing. Like one player making that big of a swing is really huge. And I understand why, because he is everything for this offense. He is everything for this team. They do not have good running backs. As a Texas fan from the outside looking at it, it's like Florida's offense has much more like talent spread out across than Oklahoma's. Like I think Deion Burks is a fine player. Who was it? I can't think of his name. The receiver who caught that touchdown against Auburn, where he ran open down the sideline and there was an appeal. I can't. Satania. Yeah. So Satania's a fine player, and he's really come on the last few weeks, specifically that Auburn game. But it's just all about this game is more about can Texas figure out on offense more so than I think Oklahoma on offense, because that's what sucks is Oklahoma is a known product and Texas is the mystery going into this game, and that's not where I thought we would find ourselves. I'm gonna let you go, and then I'll kind of finish off.
Well, yeah, first off, we'd be remiss to not talk about it. Shoot, man! Props to Contez Lewis. He's gonna play in this game. For those who don't know, he got absolutely just smacked by a wall.
Yeah,
and I mean
the bricks.
Yeah. When I mean like wall, I mean like a literal wall. He ran out of the back of the end zone and like head first right into the bricks. The fact that there's no padding there is ridiculous. But he's playing in this game, so props to the kid for getting back out there and playing. But again, continue on the train of picking the low-hanging fruit. The John Mateer stuff. Again, if John Mateer plays in this game, it as you said, completely changes this Oklahoma offense because of everything that he can add with his legs. And he could really have that Texas defense in hell. You know, we saw what a good quarterback could do against this Texas defense. Sorry. And I think that if Mateer is in this game, I really do like Oklahoma, given it's a Red River rivalry and you never know what happens. But I think if it turns into a shootout where just Oklahoma can go down and hit the big plays when it matters, I don't think Texas can hang in there with the way Arch has been playing. And it sucks and it hurts because we all had these high expectations for Arch. But if it comes down to the quarterback battle, I'm taking John Mateer every single second. I'm taking Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the biggest thing would be I think our Mason Thomas taking over the game on the edge, or David Stone in the interior taking over the game. That's where this Oklahoma defense is rooted in. Ironically, the same as Texas, like rooted in that front four and being able to wreak havoc in it. I mean, what Red River shootout have you ever seen be 43.5 as the point total? Like, that's crazy to think about. Like, teams would score, either team would score that easily in those late 2010 Tom Herman versus Lincoln Riley games. So, interested to see how it goes. Texas is back against the wall. They're absolutely going to win this game. It's just, there's a lot of question marks to, cross along the way. And then,
really quickly, I think if Texas wants to win this game, I think the key matchup, like if we come away and we say, good on you, Texas, you won this game, I think it's going to be because of Colin Simmons just absolutely picking on their freshman left tackle. I don't want to try to pronounce his last name and butcher it out of respect. I'm not going to. But Michael, their left tackle, is a true freshman. And he's held up fairly well over the course of the season. But it's easy to hold up well when you're not playing people not named Colin Simmons. And I think that could take over the game. If he's on and Colin Simmons has the kind of game that we all hope and expect from an edge rusher of his caliber, I think that could be where Texas finds a way to sneak in and win this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then we get into the last one, Jordan Hare under the lights hosting Georgia. This is another one of those, like, this is back against the wall for Mr. Hugh Freeze at Auburn. This is coming off a bye. This is knowing Georgia's coming to town. And that's why I think this point spread is where it's at. We've seen Georgia on the road this year, going to Knoxville, where they need everything out of Gunnar Stockton in that one as a passer to win that game. And since then, he has not displayed what he showed in that game as a passer. Auburn is just I can't quit them. I'm excited to see how how Hugh comes out of a bye week, scheming up things. The Arnold thing it's tough, man, because he just holds on to the ball. There is just no second recognition within a pocket for him. That I think it's just you have it or you don't, and he doesn't. So it's at that point where I'm interested to see how they pivot, if they really lean into what he can do as a runner, or if Georgia continues this run of they can't put any pressure on a quarterback. It's one of those things that the Georgia defensive line is negated this entire season. It's a complete minus for this team. I'm interested to see how that all figures out. And then obviously, if Chris Brazzell can dunk all over these Georgia corners, I imagine Cam Coleman can, and Eric Singleton ain't too bad either.
No, yeah, I think you had mentioned the big thing that I wanted to talk about. I do think a lot of the issues is Jackson Arnold and his ability to not recognize pressure, holding onto the ball too long and whatnot. But I do think a lot of that stems from Auburn's offensive line play as well. I think it is easy to pin that on Jackson Arnold, be like, you're bad. You need to have better package management. But Auburn's offensive line has just been outright bad as well. And I think it's easy to overlook that, but that, obviously the two combined is where that issue happens. I really want to take Auburn to cover the spread just outright. But again, it's tough because they don't have that defensive line that we're so used to and become accustomed to having from Georgia. I think if Jackson Arnold just has one of those games, Cam Coleman goes for 150 yards, I think we could talk about Auburn winning this one. But I'm fairly confident that even if they can't get pressure on Jackson Arnold, I think he's going to make kind of stupid plays and can't, make plays when it matters the most. And that's why I'm going with Georgia. And again, you never know with Stockton, as you said. And I think that's kind of the fun thing with Stockton. You're gambling every single time he steps foot out on the football field. He can either look amazing and just pull some crazy thing out of his butt, or he can put up 130 yards like he did against Alabama. Again, it's just a classic SEC game. Very excited to see how it plays out. But I think Georgia has the defense, even outside of that line, to really keep these guys in check.
Yeah, I'm this whole, like, again, I mentioned it, talking about the SEC, just seeing how these things get formulated, how these wins and losses get divvied up, because there's a world where both, Texas and Georgia are walking out with 2 losses the beginning, the second weekend of October. I'm just fascinated by it, man. I'm really, really fascinated by how deep this conference and how linear it feels in comparison to the Big Ten, where, I think Oregon and Ohio State specifically, it's just like they are head and shoulders above everybody else. And Oregon has an opportunity to flex that muscle. Maybe I could be wrong, obviously. But the SEC, it's just like every game, like I can talk myself into Auburn, who might be in the bottom 5 of this conference, beating Georgia just because they have the talent divvied up to figure it out. But interested to see how that goes. That is all for the main game previews. Obviously, we will hit on some notables. I'm gonna hit you with one hard hitting one right off the bat. USF and North Texas, a G6 bid game for the most part. On Friday night, the over-under is over 65.5 still. This is the beginning of the American Conference games this season. Not the American Athletic Conference. I didn't say that. The American Conference. And I have been pretty adamant that the team that wins the American is going to be the G6 the G6 bid team this season. And whoever wins that, all these games, circle them. These big games where you're circling the 8-9 win teams in this conference, when they play each other, it's going to be interesting to see how they shake up. And USF obviously is the team that I think the American is rooting on because they have that win against Florida, but we'll see how that one goes. And then another one I'll mention in the G6, the Battle of I-75. Toledo goes to Bowling Green. They are separated by 25 miles in the state of Ohio. There's just a real hatred in this one, and I've learned about it over the past couple weeks. So I'm kind of like low-key excited for this one. Don't know why, but hey, let's get into some G6 action on a Saturday, not a Wednesday in November.
Yeah. I have 4 games that really stood out to me, none of which are G6 games in particular, but I really don't blame you. Those G6 games are always just so much fun to watch. The 4 other games that I think were kind of worth talking about was UCLA versus Michigan State, just because of obviously everything that we saw versus UCLA. I think Michigan State wins this game. But hey, you never know what this UCLA offense looks like now with the new coaching staff and new offensive play calling and whatnot. We'll move on to the other Big Ten game that I think was worth noting. Kind of a battle. I don't want to say a mid-off because I do think Iowa is the better team, especially when comparing the two. But Iowa versus Wisconsin is going to be another great game. Kicking on over to the SEC, where you actually have a ranked Tennessee. They're 12. Playoffs started right now. They would be the first team that didn't make it because they're obviously 12, and that last spot would go to the G6 team, whatever team makes it out of the American, as you had said. But can Tennessee continue to build their case to say, hey, we belong in the playoffs? We were able to hang in there in these games against the better SEC teams. And then the final one, a Big 12 matchup, number 21 ranked ASU versus Utah. This might be a little bit more of a chance for Utah to be like, hey, we know we disappointed you a little bit against Texas Tech, but here is our ranked win now. And I do think Utah is, I don't want to say heavily favored, but I think they're like favored by 5.5 or something in this game.
Yeah, by about a touchdown.
Exactly. But again, I think this might be Utah's chance. Again, I don't think they'll make the playoffs unless they win the Big 12, but this could be their chance to say, here's that ranked win that you guys were all hoping for when we played Texas Tech just a couple of weeks ago. But those are my 4 other games very quickly that I thought were worth mentioning.
Yeah, I'll also shout out Nebraska and Maryland. I just want to keep shouting out Maryland because I've had so much fun watching. They blew it against Washington. I was so bummed out.
They did.
They like Washington their offense just came alive when needed, and Malik Washington had like 50 attempts in that one. He's really fun, man.
He's so
if you
much
don't
fun.
just turn on Maryland. And Nebraska has to travel up there. You know, everybody who's always traveling to the East Coast, I'm always keeping an eye on with this Big Ten now, where it's like I think these travels are sometimes crazy, and so making that trip from Nebraska to Maryland is not fun. And I don't know how to feel about Nebraska, even if I was confident on them early in the season. That Michigan game really took it out of me. Just the way they looked. I know they only lost by 3, but just the way they looked and felt. I don't know. But that is all for your college corner. Ben, once again, we do not fail to keep the yap sesh to over 2 hours because that's what we do. Do you have any closing thoughts going into this beautiful football weekend with your Birds playing tomorrow?
Yeah, I think the Birds bounce back. But shoot, this is an opportunity for Philadelphia to have a great 2-day stretch. All right, there's not many times that I could say that as a Philadelphia fan, but right now they're really taking it to the Dodgers. All right, it's the 9th inning and they're up 8-1. Let's go Phillies. But then obviously back to the football again. I think this is really the chance for them to have their get right game. And this is right around the same time last year where they started, finding it and everything started meshing and clicking. But another great week of NFL football where we're going to watch the Raiders and Titans and another fantastic week of college football. But any final thoughts for you?
It's fun to be a Texas fan this week. I think it's fun to have the back against the wall and to finally say, like, prove it, prove you belong, because, the last few years it's been anxiety of like, oh God, they're going to blow it. They've already blown it, right? They've already blown it. So it's just the point of like, can we play spoiler to, a top 10 team in the country and get right back into the mix? And then for the Saints, Saints playing the Patriots, 2 teams I've had a pleasant time watching this season. So, so just my focus being on those games. I know by, 3:00 my time on Saturday, I'm going to be yelling. I'm going to be screaming, dude. I'm gonna be
Yes.
so mad and livid by like half an hour into the game. But yeah, this is what college football and even the NFL is all about.
You're darn right. As always, recap shows come out every Monday. Most often, Matt will not be alone. Um, yeah, that's kind of the whole hope of everything. And he shouldn't be alone unless his co-hosts fall asleep at 10 o'clock. But make sure you guys keep an eye out for that. Every Monday, those recap shows will be out. Obviously, we'll be recapping just the Sunday slate. Um, but as always, thank you guys for tuning in. And quick shout out to our sponsors, Regional Radio Sports, Spotify for podcasters, and Uppercuts Grooming. And as always, take care, and we will see you guys next week.